My parents always said, Nick, you don't know what you can achieve until you try it. And the doctors looked at me and said, he's not going to walk, he's not going to go to school, he's not going to do anything in his life. And then my parents, they just loved me like crazy and said, you got to try. Try this, try that, try this, try that. And I'm thinking sometimes like, Mom and Dad, you're crazy, man. I have no arms, no legs. How would I ever be able to do this or do that? And I went to school and I wanted to be cool. You go to school and you want to be accepted, and so you see these guys and you're like, oh man, everyone swears like every third sentence, F this and F that and F and this and F. Like what? Like they think they're cool, And so I'm thinking, man, maybe I need to be like them to be cool. And then you compare each other with how we look, and I wish I was smarter, I wish I was taller, I wish I was shorter, I wish I was more popular, I wish I did this, I wish I didn't have that. I wish my life was different. You see, it only takes 3 seconds for someone to tease me when I was at school and just say, you're ugly. You can't do this and you can't do that. And some of you thinking like, man, seriously? You had kids picking on you? Like, how heartless are those kids? Picking on me with no limbs? Like, you would probably say, well, I'm not that bad. I wouldn't pick on a kid with no limbs. But why would you pick on anyone? Well, because it's fun. It's just culture. Okay, we'll get to that. But for me facing all that stuff, I'm getting these seeds. Everybody say seeds. S-E-E-D-S, seeds. Have you seen the pictures of the sequoia reds up here in California? These huge trees. Like some of the trunks could be as nearly big as this room. I've seen those photos where they've actually dug out a tunnel in a trunk of a tree. You can drive a full-size SUV right through it. That all started with a little seed. If you leave a seed of lies in your heart and in your mind and you don't know the truth, if you don't know the truth, you will die with the lie. I started dying because I started believing what I was told. I want you to know the 3 things that I needed to come to in my life is the truth of my value, the truth of my purpose, and the truth of my destiny. I want you to know something. In our mind, we put ourselves down all the time. I want to ask you today, do you think I'm cool enough to be your friend? But I don't swear, I don't use the F-bomb. Am I still cool enough to be your friend? But I don't tease people, am I still cool enough to be your friend? If it actually doesn't matter for how we look, then why do we tease each other for how we look if it actually doesn't matter? Why is it that we look ourselves in the mirror and we see ourselves, well, we're having fun. Oh yeah, man, we're just part of culture, man. There were 12 people one day teased me. But 12 people teased me one day, and I can put a pretty brave face on, but cry on the inside. For real. Well, it doesn't hurt. Yeah, it hurts. There was this one bully. I became his target for 3 weeks. And every time I go by him, I was 13, he was 17. I was in my chair. I'm only 4'9" in my other chair, my old chair. He's like 6 something, so he's huge, right? So I'm looking up at him, and every time I go by him, he's like, hey, there's Nick, he has no... And you can imagine what he said. And I'm like, what's his problem, man? So I tried to avoid him, and I was so embarrassed. He would say it really loud, and everybody would be looking, and some would be laughing. I'm like, what is this guy's problem, man? So one day, after 3 weeks, I went up to him, and I said, hey. He's like, hey. I said, can you please stop it? He said, stop what? I said, stop teasing me. He said, what are you talking about? I said, every time I walk by, you say that stuff. He's like, what stuff? He didn't know how to take me on. So I'm looking at him and said, nah, man. Every time I walk by, you say exactly this. And I want you to stop. I forgive you, but stop it. It's like, oh, is that hurting you? Now I could have said, nah. Or I could have said, yeah. It takes a level of humility to actually say, actually, I don't like that. It's killing me. And I said, yeah, it's hurting me. He said, all right, I'm sorry, man. I was just, playing around. You want to know what tough is? Go to the people you teased and say sorry. You want to know what tough is? Go up to the people who still tease you and say, hey, stop it. I forgive you, but please stop it. That's tough. I want you to know something, the truth of who you are. I don't care what job you get. I don't care. I don't care how smart you are, everyone. I don't care. I don't care. I love you and I believe in you. I don't care if you end up being a janitor in this school. I'll tell you why. Because the janitor in my high school inspired me to be a speaker. He changed my life. He said, you should be a speaker. You know what I said? You're crazy. He said, no, really, you need to be a speaker. I said, stop it, man. 4 months later, he twisted my arm, and I said, yes. I spoke in front of 10 people, then another 10, then another 10, then I found myself in front of 300 sophomore students. And 3 minutes into my speech, half the girls were crying, and one girl in the middle of the room started weeping, and she put up her hand and she said, I'm so sorry, can I come up there and give you a hug? And in front of everybody, she came up and she hugged me and she cried on my shoulder and she whispered in this ear, thank you, thank you, thank you. No one's ever told me that they love me. No one's ever told me that I'm beautiful the way that I am. It was because my parents told me that I was beautiful that I'm still here. Some of you don't have those parents, and that's why I'm here. I love you, and you're beautiful just the way you are. Never, ever give up. How many schools do you think that I spoke to actually stopped bullying altogether? Okay. Whoever said one, you were correct. One school out of 600, I got a letter from the headmaster, and he said, Nick, you forever changed our school, blah, blah, blah. We haven't seen any bullies pick on anybody for 8 months straight. We don't know what happened, but in the best words that I can describe, there's just a new thought in the air that it just ain't cool anymore. It just ain't cool. I want to ask you, what are you going to do? Are you going to continue on at the risk of knowing that in each section, this section right here, 5 people are already trying to commit suicide? That section there, 5 people. When you extrapolate it out, what if the person you're teasing is one of those, and you have no idea? Would you find something else to do? So, the change is up to you. If you want to see more love in your school, be love. If 50% of the school come together and say, you know what, it just ain't cool anymore, the people who think it's still cool, every time they look down upon you, I want you to imagine my face looking at you. Because I'm telling you, everyone you're teasing is my brother and my sister. And you're my brother and you're my sister. And I'm asking you to stop. Love yourself a bit more. Love each other a lot more.